All right, and we are back. What is going on, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice Pacers. Your guys, Cody and Derek, back with another one, guys. And a report just came out here a couple days ago, and with the Indiana Pacers just recently re-signing Pascal Siakam, we thought that we'd talk about it for another player who may be getting another extension with the Indiana Pacers. So, per Shams, he was on the Pat McAfee show a couple days ago, and he said that the Indiana Pacers are looking to give TJ McConnell a long-term contract extension. Of course, Derek, we know TJ McConnell coming off an amazing season where he set career highs in virtually every category and then really turned it up even in the playoffs and was averaging more in the playoffs than he was in the regular season and was a crucial piece to that Indiana Pacer bench. He definitely came off the bench and provided a spark for this team and had some stellar play along the way. And I would say, Derek, he was probably in the running right there for sixth man of the year. I mean, he was that good for the Indiana Pacers and was very critical to their success in the regular season and also in the postseason. So, he has one more year left on his deal, but the Indiana Pacers look like they want to lock him up long term and make sure that he doesn't have an opportunity next offseason to become a free agent. So talk to me about TJ McConnell and talk to me about the Indiana Pacers looking to get an extension done with him here very soon.
It was a phenomenal year for TJ McConnell, especially late in the season. I mean, what more could you say about him? I mean, this is a guy that, is definitely he's definitely the smallest guy out on the court when you get him out there, and doesn't typically shoot very much. But what he's able to do just with all the basic things that you ask for a player to do to provide some kind of spark off of the bench, McConnell does it. Right? He's a menace to have to guard because he's always running, right? So it's difficult to guard him because, guys, especially late in games, are trying to, figure out a way to stop him. And, he just keeps running. He just runs, and it wears people down. And a lot of guys don't like to play both ends, Cody. And if you're one of those guys that doesn't like playing strong defense, DJ McConnell's not going to be the guy that you want to have being guarded, because he definitely will make you pay if you slip up. And even in the postseason as well, the shooting aspect of his game actually started coming hand in hand. Clearly, he's not a sharpshooter by any stretch of the imagination, but the few times that the teams were willing to, hey, McConnell, go ahead and shoot the three, man. We don't really trust you with that. McConnell late in the postseason started making him pay, So I think what really stands out about TJ McConnell is you saw his best basketball in the postseason when it mattered the most. And, a lot of people talk about, when's the best time to be the best basketball player. And it's obviously when the stakes are at their highest, when you're in the playoffs, when you play your best basketball at that time. That's when that tells a lot about who you are. Now, clearly, there were a couple games, I think it was early in the Milwaukee series, when TJ McConnell was just absolutely atrocious early in the Milwaukee series. But those last few games of the Milwaukee series, and then from that point forward, I mean, there were games where he was just going off. Even at the end of the regular season, we saw, what was there? There were a couple 20-point performances there, Cody. 20-point performances coming off the bench. I mean, think about that. So, I mean, it's quite remarkable. And especially given the fact that, he didn't play really any kind of real basketball for the last several years. And then for this year to come in and play the most games you have in the playoffs in your entire career and play the most minutes and to be able to provide the best opportunity for your team. I mean, especially with some of the guys getting hurt the way they were, I mean, there's not much you can really say other than that. He is a difference maker because people talk about him and people hate him because the guys hate playing against him because they just want to have a break every once in a while. And TJ McConnell does not give you breaks. So it was definitely a great season for TJ McConnell, a resurgence, if you will. And it only is fitting that the best player on the bench for the Pacers this year should absolutely get an extension.
No, absolutely. I mean, he was the glue, I think, that held that bench together, especially when you traded away Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin goes down, and you kind of have to, kind of have some other pieces figuring some things out. Obviously, we know Ben Shepherd, what he was able to do as a rookie, played some good basketball, earned some minutes there in some of that bench role. But TJ McConnell was the glue for that second unit. And there's nothing super special about TJ McConnell. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy. When you look at it physically, you're not super impressed, but I mean, the dude works harder than just about any other player in the NBA. I mean, he is just so relentless, right? He's just that guy that just will continually. I mean, what do they call him? They call him the little S, right? That's what people were referring to him as in the playoffs because he was just wouldn't go away. He was like that bug, we all know the one that just like won't leave you alone and won't stop coming. Like he just keeps coming back. That was TJ McConnell, right? And that's a very good thing for the Indiana Pacers because you need guys that are high effort guys, and TJ McConnell is one of those guys. And I think you just have a little bit, honestly, Derek, of some calmness when he's out there, right? You trust TJ McConnell that he can orchestrate the offense, he can get things moving, and he can really lead that second unit, right? Just playing some really good basketball whenever the starters need some breaks, right? So definitely TJ McConnell, a guy that was a key part of this Pacer team this year. And a guy that, he's been with Indiana for a number of years, but especially this year, he just took it to another level, especially like you mentioned in the postseason, averaging over 10 points per game in the 2023-2024 season, regular season, and then the playoffs, hiking that up over a point per game, right? And he's not even like, it's not just like him scoring. He does a little bit of everything, right? He finds guys, he orchestrates the offense, and I think that's just so critical to have kind of that guy that can be out there kind of moving traffic and getting things flowing from an offensive perspective. So TJ McConnell definitely was a big addition to the Pacers this year when he got those opportunities. And so definitely a player that is worth re-signing and keeping around because he really found that role this year. So that's definitely a great thing. But Derek, the one thing I think that is, I guess, more, I don't know if I would say a negative, but I think it is just when you look at the age. TJ McConnell is 32. So, I mean, he's not probably going to get this major giant contract at this point of his career, but still a guy that I think has a lot of good basketball, in his future if he continues, on the trajectory that he had coming from the 2023 season, taking it up in the postseason. Like, what can he be like in 2024 and beyond? But that is really the only factor of like, what does that contract look like, right? Are you comfortable handing him a 2-3 year contract, or do you want to maybe go a little bit less? Do you want to go a little bit more, right? Where do you stand if you're the Indiana Pacers with TJ McConnell and kind of the length and what that looks like just from a monetary standpoint? So I've seen projections anywhere from around 10, 11 million is kind of what people are thinking. I know right now TJ McConnell in this final year of the contract, he's due a little bit over 9 million for his final year of his contract. So you hike that up a little bit. What would you be comfortable with, Derek, for TJ McConnell if they, the Indiana Pacers extended him for 2-3 years? How many per year are you comfortable handing him?
I mean, the good thing is you still have a good amount of money left after signing Siakam. Pretty sure that you still have like 12 to 14 million left. So, you can make this kind of move and still look forward to next year. I would definitely, if I'm the Pacers, I definitely am looking at like a 2-year contract. I don't know if I'd want to have him as a 3-year contract deal. I'm not 100% sure of that. I mean, he is 32. So if you gave him a 2-year contract, he's going to be 34. And I mean, let's be honest, we know his role in this system. If he was a starter, then, maybe there would be some extenuating circumstances of an extension longer than that. But, again, it's bench. He is a bench player, albeit a very important bench player. I would go a 2-year extension, and maybe you could do something with the contract, like kind of like what a lot of NFL deals do now, where you front load the first year of that contract. You maybe you give like a bunch of incentives or something if he gets certain numbers this next season, and then you're able to you have it all up front, and then that way that second year of that contract, when you're dealing out some other deals like for some other players that you're going to have coming through, that way it'll be less money on your cap. So I don't know, maybe something sort of situation where, he gets like, 11 to 14 million that first year, and maybe you drop it down to like 8 or 9 or like 8 million the second year, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I could see that being a scenario, even if it was like a 3-year deal. I could see that happening too, where you front load it a lot, you give him more of that money up front, and then you kind of have an out if, say, year 3, he's starting to decline a little bit with that age. And if not, you're good, and you can talk later when he's 35 at that point. So, but I think regardless, it's got to be a multi-year deal. The Pacers need to lock him in long term, and you need to feel pretty good about where you're at with TJ McConnell and just this bench unit. And you don't have to touch it for a couple of years. Then you feel solid about that. You've got a key role player there, and you can continue to add some guys. Which I know, obviously, with the NBA draft happening, you're probably going to add a couple more guys that are going to be on that bench and help provide some minutes potentially there, or compete for some minutes. So it'll be very interesting to see what the Pacers do there in the draft, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point when it comes to that. But when it comes to TJ McConnell, man, I think he's just a great veteran out there. He's been with this organization for a number of years now, since I believe it was 2019. So he knows this team. He knows this city. He's seen a lot of transition, but he's been able to find himself a very nice role here with the Indiana Pacers. And obviously, we know the Pacers have taken notice of what TJ McConnell did last year and how valuable he was for this team in 2023 and 2024. So moving forward, TJ McConnell needs to be a part of this team for the next couple of years and then take it from there. I think we'd be pretty happy about that if the Pacers elected to go that route. But we'll see when the Pacers and TJ McConnell, agree on this deal. I mean, I would think TJ McConnell would be a guy who'd want to be here. The Indiana Pacers obviously want him to be here. It's a team that was very young, but TJ McConnell, being one of those veterans, was able to kind of help out probably some of those young guys as well. So that's valuable, as a lot of these guys going into year 2 and 3. I think that's just going to be extremely valuable for a player like TJ McConnell to have him around there as kind of the veteran of that group, right? So, guys, let us know your thoughts on TJ McConnell, the Indiana Pacers working on an extension, hopefully very soon. He can be inked in for the next couple years and take it from there, provide that spark off the bench and that veteran leadership for a lot of those young players there on the Indiana bench right now. But, guys, let us know your thoughts. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know when we drop fresh content just like this. Like I mentioned already, the NBA draft is set for Wednesday, so we're going to definitely have some draft coverage for you guys. So be sure to check that out. Obviously, the Indiana Pacers, as of right now, don't have a first-round pick, so we'll probably be focusing, unless the Pacers do something crazy, probably be focusing more on that Thursday round 2 type of thing. But you never know what happens there. We'll see if the Pacers add some more players or trade up or whatever they do. We'll find out. But the Pacers will have somebody new or a couple players new. So that'll be exciting to talk about. But, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thanks so much. And as always, go Pacers.